Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. You probably saw the news this morning about John Krasinski making that big Fantastic Four announcement. He had a big interview, so we'll break it all down. It's not even the first time Marvel has gone after him for a big MCU character or his wife, Emily Blunt, who was also just having a meeting with Marvel about playing a big MCU character in an upcoming movie. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the Marvel videos. I'm leaving that Infinity Saga box set giveaway open until Black Widow comes out. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and let me know what you want them to do with the new Fantastic Four Marvel movie. So we'll break everything down top 5 style. There have been a couple big Fantastic Four Easter eggs and setup in recent Marvel movies. They'll also be laying track work in all the upcoming series and movies too, like Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness, the Loki series, the Eternals movie that's happening later this year. So starting with number 5, if you didn't see the news, John Krasinski did a huge Fantastic Four interview recently talking about Marvel's new reboot of the characters and how he wanted to be the new Reed Richards really badly. There have been some news outlets saying that he was campaigning to be Reed Richards a long time ago. I don't remember that. I only remember the John Krasinski, Reed Richards Fantastic Four hype starting about a year ago when everyone was getting ramped up for Avengers Endgame. But this is some of the stuff he said during his interview, so I'm just quoting him. He's speaking to the interviewer here, saying, "You're like, do you have any interest in not shattering people's dreams?" Laughing, "I would love to be in the Marvel Universe. I love those movies because they're fun, but I also think they're really well done. And certainly a lot of my friends are in those movies." He's actually friends with a lot of the real-life MCU actors. "I have no idea what Marvel is thinking, but if they're considering me for Mr. Fantastic, continue to consider me because I would love it." So it's just him professing his love for the Marvel movies and his desire to actually be Reed Richards, making all the dreams of these fan artists that keep drawing these John Krasinski, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic pictures. Seriously, can you picture anyone else as the character after seeing all this really amazing art of him as Mr. Fantastic? But not only is he a fan right now in present day, he also has a lot of history with Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige, as does his wife, Emily Blunt, who you probably heard was also meeting with Marvel separately a little while ago about playing a big character in an upcoming movie. But I actually think the character Emily Blunt was meeting Marvel for was actually for someone like Clea in Doctor Strange 2, so I don't think that she's gonna wind up playing the new Sue Storm, but she might wind up being in an upcoming Marvel movie. But Marvel went after both of them separately years ago for different big Avengers characters. So number 4, the history. This is actually really cool deep cut Easter egg. If you don't remember, way back in the late 2000s when Marvel Phase 1 was just getting started, Kevin Feige went after John Krasinski for Steve Rogers' Captain America in Captain America First Avenger. This was early Office era Jim Halpert John Krasinski. We all know that didn't wind up working out, and Chris Evans went on to become an amazing Captain America, so good now you can't picture anyone else playing that character after Avengers Endgame. But John Krasinski is friends with Chris Evans in real life, and obviously there's no hard feelings or anything like that. He was joking about it recently on a talk show. Here's the clip of that.
I heard that you screen tested for Captain America.
That's
that
right.
Role.
In my head, I got the part.
Yeah. What was that process like? Because that's a real question when you're trying to think like, am I one of those superhero guys or not? You know, would I want to do that? Could I do that? So when you had that test, what was it like?
It was a big deal for me because, I mean, first of all, I love those Marvel movies. I love superheroes. I love imagination. When they asked me to test, they actually allowed me to put on the suit. I was on a set. It was all very interesting. I feel like as I'm talking about this, someone from Marvel is gonna be like, and just like, I'm not allowed to talk about it at all.
Yeah.
But I remember the only bummer of it was I was putting on the suit, just watching it. I was like, this is so amazing. And I got about right to my waist. I was still shirtless, feeling pretty good about myself. It wasn't 13 hours yet, but I felt pretty good. And all of a sudden, Chris Hemsworth walked by as Thor, and he's like, "Hey, mate." And I went, "I'm good. This is stupid.
As you can see, he also clearly thinks Marvel made the right call in casting Chris Evans. But that was early in his career. He's been killing it as a very action hero version of Jack Ryan lately. But number 3, the story on Emily Blunt's history with Marvel also dates to around the same era of Marvel Phase 1. When they were getting ready to make Iron Man 2, Emily Blunt was the first person they went after for their Black Widow. I know everyone thinks that they wanted her as Captain Marvel, but she claims that that was never a thing.
Are you sick of these kind of rumors, or are you happy about these rumors about Captain Marvel? People keep mentioning you to Captain
it's
Marvel.
crazy. I've not had a phone call about it.
Seriously, you've not talked to Marvel?
Not.
Look me in the eye.
Not one whisper of Captain Marvel has come my way.
Okay.
Promise.
Okay.
Like, promise.
Have you done some, like, Wikipediaing just in case the call comes? Like, oh, would I actually be interested in this?
No, I don't even know who Captain Marvel is.
It's a good part. You might want to
Is it? All right.
Just have your people talk to their people.
All right.
The Black Widow story is true, though. The reason why Emily Blunt isn't our Black Widow dying on Vormir here is because she had a scheduling conflict with Iron Man 2 and couldn't do it. That's how Scarlett Johansson wound up becoming the Black Widow of the MCU, and the rest was history. But since they both almost became Marvel characters, they've only become bigger and bigger stars, so of course Marvel still wants them in the MCU, regardless of what the characters might wind up being. They've already started setting up the Fantastic Four characters with Easter eggs in Spider-Man Far From Home and in the post-credit scene. So number 2, the first big Fantastic Four Easter egg is actually the new Avengers Tower. Remember that a mystery buyer got it from Iron Man during Spider-Man Homecoming, and the new construction on it was still underway during Spider-Man Far From Home. In that ending scene, when Spider-Man swings down to land in front of it on the street, you can see a New York City construction sign in front of the building that says, "We are so excited to show you what comes next," with the numbers 1, 2, 3 and a blank where the number 4 should be. Not only is that a Marvel Phase 4 Easter egg, like Marvel can't wait to show us the new movies that are coming next in Marvel Phase 4, but it's also a Fantastic Four Easter egg. The different colors of the numbers correspond to each of the Fantastic Four's powers, and people ask about the Invisible Woman. What about her? The joke being that the missing number 4 is a reference to her invisibility powers. Also, the street corner that Spider-Man and MJ are standing on here at East 41st and Library Way is just a block or two away from where the Baxter Building is in Marvel Comics. I also kind of think it's more realistic to think that the Avengers Tower would become the new Baxter Building, because the only other big option would be like Oscorp for Sinister Six Spider-Man purposes, and even though Marvel just re-signed their sharing deal with Spider-Man, they aren't always guaranteed to have Spider-Man in future movies, so they probably don't want to risk giving Sony the Avengers Tower and causing some story issues down the road. They own the Fantastic Four characters 100%, and turning it into the Baxter Building would just make it easier for them story-wise down the road. This Spider-Man Far From Home scene was also finished after the Disney-Fox buyout deal was completed, so legally they were allowed to reference Fantastic Four stuff. Kevin Feige said that they had plans for a new movie, but as of them releasing this scene, they hadn't cast any actors yet and probably didn't have a finished script. But that was a year ago. This is now, and John Krasinski is really excited to be in that Fantastic Four movie. So number 1, the other big Easter egg is the Nick Fury Spider-Man Far From Home post-credits scene on the now confirmed Sword space station from the comics. Thank you very much, Wandavision, for that. We'll get our first look at that during the Wandavision episodes, but the reason why they're doing the space station and Sword from the comics is because of the Infinity Saga Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3 were all about ground-level threats on Earth. S.H.I.E.L.D. was mostly just concerned with stuff on planet Earth. The whole idea of Sword in the comics is about dealing with cosmic threats from space and beyond in the multiverse, and it seems right now like that's where a lot of future movie villains are going to come from, like Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness will have a multiverse villain. I just mentioned WandaVision setting up the Sword space station. Well, Monica Rambeau is actually going to be an agent of Sword during the WandaVision episodes. All the Disney Plus series are going to cross over with the movies, so obviously Monica Rambeau, big Captain Marvel comic book character, is probably going to show up in the next Captain Marvel movie, which will probably have something to do with addressing a threat through the Sword space station. We all know the Fantastic Four famously got their powers when they were caught in a cosmic storm in Earth's orbit. It would be the easiest thing in the world to say that there are normal scientists in the MCU working on the Sword space station. Maybe there's a disaster, the space station gets hit by cosmic rays, and that would be a really easy way to give them their powers that makes sense. So you can see that they're laying the groundwork to introduce those characters. I know everyone is looking at the fan art of Andrew Garfield. Is Johnny Storm asking about that? But I don't think that he would come into the MCU doing a role like that. They'd probably go for someone a little bit younger. But I am hoping at some point that he comes back for some live-action Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, because there's been all this Tobey Maguire Easter egg talk because now Sam Raimi is going to be directing Doctor Strange 2. So if you hear any news about Andrew Garfield coming back for anything like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse or something like that, then I will totally do a video about it.
Andrew was so lovely. We had a really good chat together. I met Toby very briefly, but they're both nice guys.
But post all your theories in the comments below. Do you think the Fantastic Four characters will appear in other people's movies first, like Spider-Man Civil War style, or do you think we'll see them for the first time when they do the new Marvel Fantastic Four reboot movie? I'm working on a new Venom 2 Spider-Man video that I'll post this weekend. Leave all your video requests and big questions in the comments below. Any other Fantastic Four or Marvel Phase 4 related stuff. Everyone click here for my new Loki trailer video and Easter eggs, and click here for my new Doctor Strange 2 Sam Raimi video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. It's pizza time.